Partnered by Times Influence.
Welcome to another edition of the Z5 Brand Equity Show that focuses on everything that's happening in the world of media and marketing. On Bingenomics today, the focus is on the regional content markets and really how language is truly the future of where our content is going to have a massive shift. There is an assessment that the regional market could be more or less about $500 million plus. We're looking at 536 million in terms of the regional language user base by 2021. So clearly this is a big opportunity. How are marketeers, content creators, platform owners and brands really looking at this entire gamut of things when it comes to the regional market? I've got four very fantastic guests. Tanmay Mohanty, who's the Group CEO, Zenith and Performix, Resultrix India. Puneet Anand, AVP and Group Head Corporate Affairs and Corpcom at Hyundai Motor India. Samir Vora, the Chief Marketing Officer at Daily Hunt, and Vani Garg, Head Customer Management at Z5. Thank you all for joining us. These numbers, 536 million in terms of regional language user base by Google and KPMG, could be compelling for everyone. What is your take on the way these markets are shaping up? Tanmay, if I can start with you.
If you really look at it, what has happened over the period of probably pre-post pandemic is that the more people from tier 2 towns have started getting added onto internet, and they come with their own set of preference, their set of own language that is spoken there and their own sentiments. What it does for marketeers is that every time they have to adjust for what they were proposing for a metro client or a metro planning versus a non-metro planning. But what it does in internet is that it completely divides the arena into three clear buckets. The first one they add on is what you see people seeing through mobile phones. That means they have personal preference of watching that in language. You have second one coming up who move from TV as cord cutters. They have they are watching with family, the same language they all prefer to watch. And third one, which is pretty interesting that we see the next 500 million will see it, is the people who are moving that they want the content they want at the price that they want, because TV has become very costly for them most of the time.
So, Samir, what are you picking up in terms of I can see a lot of expansion happening at your end. Tell us more about what are your sort of pulse pickers on the ground.
I think some very interesting, data points are coming to the fore, Shelly. Just look at what's happened on Q3 2020 shipments in the country on mobile phones. 55 million phones have been shipped out despite the pandemic. That's a 17% rise. One of the few markets in the world which has, kind of bucked the trend. Of that, 85% odd were, sub $200, which is sub 15,000 rupees. They are predominantly being used for learning and for personal consumption, because in India, mobile phones are used for that. Similarly, lowest access costs across the world. Look at the amount of time people are spending on mobile phones during the pandemic. I don't think we need to kind of go there. And overall, I think to Tanmay's point, the next 300-400 million people that are coming online on the back of vernacular. And that kind of, sets up the whole market for us. So for us as a marketeer and as a media professional, I think, this large 400-500 million untapped internet user market powered by vernacular is an extremely exciting space. And I think a lot of people, a lot of brands, a lot of media owners are now, becoming fully aware and fully interested in, pursuing this audience.
So Puneet, clearly you're the media here when it comes to buying media. Tell me, you agree with Samir's perspective on that, the market to watch, regional markets at this point for sure?
Clearly, we see that as the penetration of smartphones and the penetration of data is increasing in these tier 2 non-metro, tier 3 towns, there is a tendency of the people to consume more of data. There is a tendency of people to go on more entertainment platforms. And I think that's where I would see that these are the cities which are going to drive the growth as far as that 536 million data which you talked about, that is going to be a potential growth which we see in the next 4 to 5 years. In fact, in terms of the CAGR growth also, when we see, we are looking at almost around 29.1% CAGR growth happening in the next 5 years from financial year 2019 to the financial year 2024. And that's where we are looking at such massive explosion of data, such massive explosion of the data points, and also of these young people who will be entering into the era of enjoying the digital content, which also is now available on the various relative vernacular platforms. In fact, 2 years back, one of the events which Google had organized in Delhi, I was part of that event, and I was very interested to see three strong words, which that time the CEO, Mr. Rajan Nandan, had said. And he had said three V's of the growth happening in the industry. One clearly was the video, which all we know that video has become the global language. The second was the voice, which anyway, which we know is becoming now like a search engine. And the third is of the vernacular. And that is where I see the marriage of video, voice, and vernacular will be leading to a great explosion as far as the content search in these markets will go.
I think there's some good points in there. I think perfect for Vani now. Video, voice, vernacular. Vani, over to you for your perspective.
We go through our data, we see, of course, it has grown during this time. And 50% of our videos actually come from language which is not Hindi. So that speaks for itself a lot, because there's a lot of regional content that kind of gets consumed and has only increased during this time. I think the whole internet penetration we spoke of, so I don't want to repeat, but yes, the whole penetration, including smart TV penetration, has really added the whole dimension to it by bringing in more and more people. And regional content is really appreciated. And that's true in the consumer segments also. Earlier there used to be this whole thing about, it's my language, or English is the cooler thing to do. But even in the Gen X, the newer generation, you see more affinity to their regional language, the colloquialism, and therefore it's all kind of seen together. So a lot of content there and a lot of consumption also.
So having understood sort of the lay of the land, now let's get into specifics. Tanmay, if I may actually come to you and understand, the kind of engagement that one can really see with new customers as they come in. And does that really change drastically when you look at the regional customer? Do you have enough tools at hand? Do you have enough opportunity to see how engagement and experiences could be improved as we go beyond traditional languages?
Last 2 years, most OTTs have started creating content only for digital and in Hindi. And that trend seems to be also taken from TV. If you see last 6 months to 9 months, is that most networks have started creating only content for regional languages, which is very localized, goes into deeper part of the sentiment of the locality or the town, and that gets interesting as you go. The second thing from a user point of view, and you pointed in the right direction, is that the first 100 million who went to internet, and all of us probably were the same people who went in the first 100 million people who went internet. We grew up with Google, Facebook. There's certain ways we understood that. But as languages change, and I think Pulit said the right thing, the voice is going to be very important, because these people will not be able to get the content they want in their language when they ask for it. It will not be the same way they treat Google or Facebook for a search or for sharing their own content. They will search for, or they will interact with a platform which they are comfortable with, which will be voice. What Google is doing is 29 languages, okay? That means in 29 languages, you can ask a voice question to get an answer. What platforms have to do now, which are more OTT content and all of those platforms, is to make it easier for new consumer to come in to interact with the platform.
Okay, so let's ask Samir that. Samir, what are your challenges immediately when you look at the interactivity factor, and what have been your successes with it as well?
See, we believe that at Daily Hunt at core is nothing but deeply vernacular platform. It's powered and run by deep personalization, which allows a consumer to show his interest and get personalized content served. So I think that's the two things that really work for us. From a challenge point of view, what we've seen is that consumers have told us that whenever they cold start the app, they would love to see the content and the app being displayed in their native vernacular language. I think that has been one of the important points that has worked really well for Daily Hunt. So, and for at Daily Hunt, we serve the app not only from a content point of view, but the app can be accessed also in 14 languages. So those 2-3 things really work for us as at Daily Hunt, where language per se is the entry point for the consumer into the world of internet, and then that's where what Puneet said is really applicable for us, where between voice, video, and vernacular, Daily Hunt plays the video and vernacular game much better and deeper.
Puneet, as a brand, when you are assessing this at this point, what are the key parameters you keep in mind? Because I think Tanmay and Samir sort of covered both aspects, right? I mean, there are platforms that are still holding up, their ability to either do the right kind of experience or engagement, and Samir pointed out how that itself can be a critical factor if they're not, let's say, regional language first already, such as Daily Hunt is. So when you as a brand go to the market, what are the 2 or 3 things that you look out for?
And let us look at our industry. India is a very large country, and largely our cars are bought under the emotional quotient. And that's where I think these vernacular languages, these various platforms play a very decisive role in making the people decide which car or which brand to go for. And since car buying is not an individual decision, it's a decision taken by a family, or I would say rather a community, because everybody gets together to decide what brand to invest your money upon. So I think that's where we have to be very cautious, is also the way we take the approach in terms of these platforms. Now, just to give you an example, 2 years back in 2018, when we were celebrating the 20th anniversary of Hyundai, we were actually wanting to contact the 5 million population of the India whom we had actually sold our car during these 20 years. And one of the things which came out of a very strong research was that unless and until you don't do a vernacular emotional video, you will not be able to contact these customers of yours. That's where we developed some videos, and I'm sure some of you would have seen it. Actually, they went on to become the most watched YouTube videos of 2018. Those are purely based in the vernacular language. Those are purely going to the hinterland grassroots level, and they evoked some very nostalgic moments. Yesteryears, when our father used to buy a car, or when the parents used to take care of the car like their son, how those emotions actually have been shown in those videos. And more than 500 million views for that video actually was a testament that if the content is good, if the language is meaningful, and also if the surroundings and the emotional quotient is weaved very well into a storytelling format, I think as a marketeer, we have done our job well.
Let's ask Vani precisely some of the issues that Puneet raised. So Vani, engagement with the regional audience is critical, which also means how you curate your content, how you filter it is possibly your biggest strength. How has the ZEE5 experience been with it?
So, Shari, it's very exciting. It's been an evolving journey, I would say, given the time we have spent. And, honestly, this is a decision, if I have to say, is something which we have left on technology, which is, like our recommendation engine. It is completely powered by machine learning and artificial intelligence. So it is not really who, Vani or someone else is making that choice that what content you should be watching, but actually it's the users, and as a community they are choosing. So if you watch one content, then yes, what is the collaborative likelihood of you to watch another content? So therefore it kind of, comes by itself, and that's really the curation or the personalization you can see on the app or on the web or the platform, because it's unique for each one, depending on not only the language, but the genre, and like a deeper into it, if you like a particular actor or a particular theme. So there's a lot of variables sort of that go into it. And what we do as marketers are really use this insight. So when we are speaking to consumers, of course, we speak to them in the language which they have preferred. And at ZEE5, we have 2 languages. It's called the content language and the display language. You can choose which you want. And because so one display is your language where you understand, and content, you could watch multiple languages. And we use both the parameters to see what is the preferred language of the consumer when we talk to them.
Samir, regional content strategy, some thoughts on how Daily Hunt is doing that? Some interesting inputs out there from Vani, about the kind of smartphones, the kind of content, and of course, having it cater to audiences depending on states.
When it comes to, content strategy for Daily Hunt, I think for us, it's pivoted on basically two large pillars. A, content that is created by our own creators. We started from 2,000 content creators, and today we have over 50,000 content creators on the platform. Also, from a content point of view, authenticity is very important. So today we partner with the best and the biggest, publishers in the business. So between both, content creators of every type, I think we are largely covered from a content ecosystem. And I think, once you have that kind of content layered with deep personalization, that translates into a lot of sessions. A lot of sessions translates into a lot of inventory. A lot of inventory translates into a lot of revenue. So for us, I think that's a simple, straightforward, proven business model.
All right, I'm going to be taking some closing comments now. Tanmay, going forward, how do you see the entire content piece, as well as, of course, how we deliver that content being an interesting way of looking at it? Because you were the one who brought up the entire smartphone penetration. And given that, would platforms, would brands, would content creators have to constantly tweak strategy in order to meet specific markets, specific kind of smartphone consumers?
There are two types of clients in India. Okay, let's look at from solving for clients' problem, because they are the one who will monetize the property for it to work out. There is one set of client like CPG, large CPG clients to handle in Zenith, who look at reach as the biggest barrier. And when you look at reach, the best way to build reach in India, which is so fragmented, is to use vernaculars. For them, it is most important, and this is what we have seen across CPG, is that they have been trying to see that how do I reach maximum number of people with the content, or with the content which is made for me. That means for the brand, so that I can tell a story, I can contextualize for that location. The second set of clients, which is probably what we all are looking to get in, is the people who are coming for something to solve, because they know vernacular. They are asking the platforms, the smartphones, or they are asking for a question in their vernacular language to be solved. Whether it's solved by a brand or a platform is a different thing. So these are the two major points that how I look at this evolving.
Yeah, I think you made some interesting points there, which is what I'd like to bring up with Puneet. Puneet, when you take on deciding what priorities you're giving to the brand needs right now, you gave some really interesting examples from 2018. We're in 2020, we're living through a pandemic. You're a person who has to spend his dollars. What are you going to pick?
Shelly, as I had mentioned, so let me, take you back around, a couple of years, say 2012, 2015. The actual digital penetration, when we look at India, actually started happening during that time, when we saw the growth in the SNS platform. I'm talking of various social media sites. Now that was the beginning of a new relationship with the customers. And I think if I can give an example of Hyundai, probably we are very happy to say that we have the largest base of consumers on each of the SNS channel, whether it is the Facebook, whether it is the YouTube, whether it is the Instagram, or whether it is the Twitter. Now, our experiments and our engagement with the consumers over the period of 6-7 years have actually given us a very strong inputs into the way we need to discuss or talk our content with our ultimate consumers, that is the customers. In case of Hyundai, we are also very privileged to see that our consumers are also very young. In fact, we have the youngest population as far as this country of automobile enthusiasts is concerned, which also gives us an edge, that not only because our products are good in terms of quality and design, but at the same time, the consumers' engagement with us on various platforms also is very strong. And I think that's where we have already started experimenting. When I think with the equal mix of print, TV, OTT, and also definitely of the outdoor hoardings, or OH as we call them, I think we'll be able to really penetrate deeper. But as I said, it's a platform which is evolving. So we will be going with a very cautious optimism in terms of engaging with our customers on these areas.
Vani, I'm going to give you the final word on this. As you look at building an inclusive OTT platform, how do you see 2021 panning out in terms of key transition changes that you're going to go into? Are you going to build audience first? Is that the main focus? Are you going to look at more engaging audiences, the engagement piece? Which ones would you pick as your priorities?
Shari, it's actually a bit of both the things. One is, of course, engaging people who are already on the platform. And, with the pandemic, time, we also realized that people are here to stay, which was one of the biggest worries, right? That they'll come and they'll go probably because there was a time. So that continues to be there. That is our top priority. Anyone whose platform is on the platform, we want to engage. Of course, acquisition continues to be part of it. We've launched a short format content, which is called Hippie, which is kind of into the market, which is for the audience. And there also vernacular plays a very huge role. And that would also be our route to kind of bring in more and more new people and engage our existing users as well.
I think that's been a fascinating discussion because here we've touched upon so many aspects of how storytelling to monetization, regional is the piece and the way forward. I appreciate all of you joining us, Samir, Tanmay, Puneet, and Vani. Brilliant conversation on Bingenomics. Stay tuned for yet another episode of us drubbing out everything that's changing the way marketeers, brands, media are really jostling to get a completely different perspective of their own consumer and audience. Thank you very much.
Partnered by Times Influence.